As we mentioned earlier, Manor ISD, with 10,000 students enrolled across 14 schools, earned an overall D grade. We are joined now by Dr. Robert Sormani, the superintendent of Manor ISD. Dr. Sormani, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Dr. Sormani, you're not alone in seeing the accountability grade go down. What was your reaction to that, and what's your message to parents who may be concerned?
You know, we're always concerned about our accountability scores. We always want to put our best foot forward because it's our kids, the ones this was a reflection of, and our teachers, and they work so hard all the time. And I want to be clear, accountability scores, I'm fine with them. They're great. I think our concerns as superintendents for our kids, as the public, knowing that it's not suddenly that they're struggling more than they were a year ago or 2 years ago. The whole accountability system has changed. And we liken it to, people need to understand, sometimes the state moves the goalposts and makes it more difficult. And that's what happened here in 2023.
And I want to delve more into that in just a second. But first, what are your biggest challenges or obstacles for improving education for students in Manor?
I think the biggest obstacle that we all face across the state is a lack of increase in funding from the state. Since 2019, everybody knows their grocery bill has gone up, but so has all the bills for school districts. Our costs have increased by 20% if you take the state comptroller's measure, but our revenues, the basic revenue that's provided by the state, has increased zero since then. I'm excited that we do have some potential revenue coming. There is a bill pending in the legislature, but we need to make sure that that gets across the finish line. And that's a good down payment on what public education needs to improve all across the board, and reading, math, and everything.
A number of public school advocates have basically said what you're saying. The state is deliberately undermining public schools and moving the goalposts with these new accountability standards. So can you elaborate more on what you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I personally would go so far as to say people were deliberately undermining. I think that there are those people around the state, and they're pretty open about it. I think it's more as the idea of the state wanting to push the rigor to give a higher goal, and I'm okay with that. And anybody who's ever been a real competitor or wants to achieve knows you've always got to push the goals higher and higher. I think the issue we have is there's a lack of knowledge that's pushed out there. There's not enough time to prepare, and there's not enough resources to prepare for these changes in goals. And so it's kind of like one day I'm a parent and my school is doing fine, has an A, and then next year I get this D, and all I can think of is, oh boy, my school is just terrible now. And really, if you look at the scores side by side, they haven't changed much. In fact, you can look at a lot of schools all around the state, including Manor ISD. If you look at the 2022 accountability scores and how it works, and then you apply them to the 2023, you see no change. And that's the part that gets lost, because the only thing that's put out there, of course, are the things that people hear is what the current accountability scores are. And now, that being said, we take where the goalposts are, and then we're going to start working towards it. And that's what we do, because that's the challenge the state has put before us.
And what are your next steps? How will this new grade, if at all, change your approach to improving performance?
Yeah, and it's important to remember that the grade that's out there is all the way back from 2023. And so all of us looking at our internal metrics, we kind of had an idea. We never were 100% sure exactly what it's going to be. So plans we put in place have already been implemented and been moving in that direction. And some of those are just adjusting to the difference in the tests. Some people may be familiar. They're now using AI grading for writing samples, for example. That we've learned has a very different impact on what writing is considered good. And so to understand that and implement that standard from the state, we train teachers, and we think this year our kids will do a lot better on that. And that's just one small example of what we're doing. And really what it always comes down to is the quality of your teachers. And so we always try to take our resources, even in a shrinking budget era, and try to focus as much of those resources we can into our teachers and developing them.
And teachers are so meaningful and, of course, so important. Dr. Sormani with Manor ISD, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts on the new TEA grading system.
Sure. Thank you for having me. And we're here having a great school year, and we're going to keep moving forward.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment below to let us know your thoughts on this video. And don't forget, you can watch full episodes of Austin Insight for free in the PBS app.